Welcome to Reverse Mortgage Radio, hosted by Legend's very own reverse mortgage professor, Bruce Simmons. You have so many options with a reverse mortgage, everyone has a different opinion, and the government keeps changing the rules. You need to hear from the first certified reverse mortgage professional in Colorado to specialize exclusively in reverse mortgages, one of few in the state with the letters CRMP after his name. Bruce has the specific training and education you need to understand what you're buying. Now, here's your host, Bruce Simmons.
Hello, and welcome to Reverse Mortgage Radio. Now, over the years, I've had the real privilege of helping older homeowners create financial freedom and peace of mind for over 20 years through reverse mortgages. But today, I'm not here to talk about loan terms and rates and all the details of reverse mortgages like I usually do. What I want to do today is share stories, real stories of real people who dared to dream, people who turned the key to the front door into the key to their future. Now, I'm not going to get all sappy, but the stories really do touch me. They're about love, legacy, and really the power of choosing joy. I'm Bruce Simmons, and thank you again for joining me today. I'm the reverse mortgage manager with American Liberty Mortgage here in Denver, and I've been specializing exclusively in reverse mortgages since 2003. I've got so many stories about people, and I've made friends with a lot of my customers just because they're great people. I really get along with the older generation now, especially since I'm becoming one myself. And I remember back in the early 2000s, I used to go on a golf trip with my dad to the Reno area, Reno, Nevada. And he had a group of friends from California where he lived, and they would get about 50 guys. It was all stag, it was guys together, and we would go and gamble and drink for about 4 days and play golf. And that's the only golfing I ever did all year long. I was terrible at it, but we always did a scramble, so it was fun. But I would love sitting around and listening to their stories. They all had such great stories, and that's one of the things that I love about my job. And if you want to learn anything about reverse mortgages and how it might be able to help you, I'm hoping that some of these stories, you might be able to see yourself in them and say, hey, maybe that might work for me. Let me give Bruce a call. And if you feel that way, give me a call directly on my cell phone not my cell phone. Call me at 303-467-7821. That's a number that actually rings to an office that's in my house. I've had that number since 1999. When I first became self-employed, and I thought I wanted to do mortgages. And then in 2003, I stumbled into reverse mortgages and found out this is a great product. I love reverse mortgages. And that's when I really got into it and dove head first into the deep end of reverse mortgages. But you can reach me at that number. Don't text me there because it is a landline. I've got it forwarded to my cell phone number. But call me at 303-467-7821. You really need to give me a call to talk about your situation because your story is really what it's about, not other people. But I'm hoping you'll see the possibilities with these other people's stories that maybe it might help your story as well. You can also visit me, though, online at reversemortgageradio.net. reversemortgageradio.net is my website. And on there, you've got downloads, or you can download the entire radio show. I've got radio shows dating back to 2017, actually. I've got blog posts and videos. And a lot of the people I'm talking about here, you can go to my website and watch their story on video. They actually tell the story on video. So you can say, hey, I'm just not making these things up. These are real stories. And first thing, what I want to do is I want to talk about Bert and Kathy. They are a couple, and they were they're in their mid 70s, and they were still paying on a mortgage and living in a home that really didn't fit their needs. It was almost becoming more of a burden than a comfort. they weren't real happy with the neighborhood and the maintenance on the house as well. And they called me to talk about a reverse mortgage on their home because they were thinking about refinancing. And then Kathy learned a little bit about reverse mortgages and tried to figure it out on her own. And she finally called me along with some other people, and they chose to work with me. And when I got there, I found out that they weren't real happy on their home and they weren't sure of what to do because they didn't think that they had enough equity in their home to really sell it and buy a new place and be happy. And they went back and forth about what they would do. And they told me they'd like to move. They just didn't think they could afford any place better. And that's when I told them about the reverse mortgage for purchase. It allowed them to purchase a newer, better home with a whole lot more maintenance than they ever thought they could. They were able to sell their old house and they bought this new one, and it just felt right. It was the right size for them. The bright sunlight streams through their kitchen window every morning when they're sipping their coffee, and no more maintenance, no more mortgage payments. And they have peace of mind. They have joy and freedom, really. Freedom. I mean, because it's nothing, they don't have to worry about a mortgage payment, taking care of the yard, all that stuff. It's really freed them up. And Bert talks a lot too about the safety measures that are in place for reverse mortgages now. He was of the opinion that reverse mortgages are risky and they're scary. And when I explained to them, and when Kathy found all the stuff online about the security measures, the counseling you go through, all the regulations, there are hoops that we have to jump through. We have to verify income and credit and things now too for people, because we want to make sure that this is a sustainable solution for you, that you can still afford to pay your own taxes and insurance and things of that nature. But it's just a fantastic program for them, and they were able to get in the house that they really loved. And I'm so glad that I was able to be there for them. Now, Bob and Linda, this is a neat story, and I don't know, I may have talked about it once or twice, because this was way early in my career, back in the early 2000s, like 2004 or 5. And basically, Bob had a memory, a town in France where he was stationed after World War II in the late 40s, I think 1947 or 48. And for decades, that place stayed alive in his memory and his stories, but not in his footsteps, until the day when he and his wife, Linda, used some of the money from the reverse mortgage that they got to fund a trip that they thought was impossible. And they went back to France, and back to the same town that Bob was stationed in with 3 of his other buddies. And these are men that he hadn't seen in years. And they were able to stay for 2 weeks sharing stories and memories, and their wives had the pleasure of reliving these times with them. You know, they were there themselves, and now their spouses got to be there with them. And it's kind of funny because Linda was saying, she told me that the trip gave Bob a piece of his youth back, and she got to watch him come alive. And she said too that, you know, some of the stories that he told were a little stretched, but I think all of the guys had stretched their stories a little bit. And it was neat for her to be able to really get to know some of the friends that she'd heard these stories about for years. And it really made a huge, huge impact on Bob's life. Well, Linda's too, both of them. They were so happy that they were able to do that and not have to worry about paying back a loan to get this money. You know, that they weren't obligated to making monthly payments. They just had to continue to live in their home and pay their taxes and insurance and maintain it, which they were doing anyway. That's the key thing. When you get a reverse mortgage, you don't have to do anything special. Just live in the home and take care of it and pay your taxes and insurance. You're doing all that stuff anyway. So, and then you can use the money how you see fit. You don't want to waste it. No. This was a trip of a really a dream of a lifetime for Bob to do this. And Linda was there to be with him by his side to do it and really live that dream. That's the key thing is they were able to make that come true. And this isn't type of loan you want to waste money on and take weekends up the hill and go blow it all on in Blackhawk or something or things like that. And unless, I guess, well, you shouldn't do that. Okay, I'm not saying to do that. But for a special trip, maybe you've always dreamed about taking a cruise through the Grecian Islands or up to Alaska. Or like me, I've always had this dream of going to Fiji. I don't know. My wife doesn't really like the beach much, so I don't know that I'll ever do it. But it just these dreams that we always have about traveling. Maybe your dream is just, it's funny because actually this, I didn't plan this, but another couple I called recently, they did a reverse mortgage and then they lived up in Estes Park. They ended up selling their home. I hadn't talked to them in years. And I called them and they said, oh, we're down in Texas in our RV. We've been traveling. We sold our house. They still had a lot of equity left in their house after doing the reverse mortgage. They said they sold their house and they bought this RV and were traveling around the country, just seeing America. They were stuck down in Texas because there were some sand storms or something at the time. This was 2 or 3 months ago. There were some sandstorms or some big wind storms down in Arizona and New Mexico and Texas. And but that's where they were. They said they'd been going all along the southern states. They'd never traveled there. And that's what they wanted to do. Now, they sold their house to do it, but they got a reverse mortgage first. And then they were able to fix up their home, get it the way they wanted it. And then they thought, let's just do this for a while. And I told them, I said, hey, remember, you could get a reverse mortgage for purchase when you're ready to settle down again, because they will at some point. She's like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll probably do that. We'll be calling you. So anyway, and they may not stay in Colorado either. That's kind of a sidestep. By the way, if you just tuned in, you are listening to Reverse Mortgage Radio. My name is Bruce Simmons. I'm the reverse mortgage manager with American Liberty Mortgage. If you have any questions at all, you really need to give me a call. You need to call me at 303-467-7821 or visit me online at reversemortgageradio.net. reversemortgageradio.net. If you have to leave or you just came in and you missed part of the show, go there about the middle of next week. I'll have the show uploaded to my website. You can also watch videos. And from some of these people, I don't think I got a video of Bob and Linda because that was long before I even thought about having a dedicated reverse mortgage website. And I didn't think about videotaping testimonials from my customers. Back then, too, a lot of people, it's kind of funny how this has changed. I used to ask people to write down testimonials for me. And they said, well, I'm kind of embarrassed. I don't want people to think that I wasn't responsible. That's the way it used to be. Now it's not that way because so many people use reverse mortgages for planning. There's a testimonial on my website from a lady. I don't have it pulled up right now, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. She was a retired nurse that lives in Wash Park area, and she has over $1 million in retirement. She walks through like 5 great reasons why a reverse mortgage is perfect for her. She's in her backyard. The flowers behind her. Is a beautiful day, and she's just rattled this stuff off the top of her head. I was like, man, you could be selling this program. But she really believed in it, and she thought it was a great idea for her, and it allowed her to travel too. Unfortunately, I have not stayed in touch with her either. I'm doing better this year of staying in touch with my customers. But I've got so many stories, and I just I'm talking about a few here. Another story that's on my website is Debbie. Debbie lives she's trying to sell her house now up in Nathrop, Colorado. If you want to live in a beautiful home in the mountains, call me at 303-467-7821. Debbie is selling her house up there now. She is going to be moving down to Colorado Springs or something, but she lived in this house for years with her husband. And during COVID, she had to move her husband to a nursing home, and he could no longer stay in the home. She had to get a reverse mortgage to pay for his care, and it really gave her peace of mind. The house was also needing some work, and their savings were running low because of all the expenses for the nursing home. She turned to a reverse mortgage, not as a last resort, okay? Don't think of reverse mortgages as a last resort, but really as a lifeline. It allowed her to keep him comfortable and safe right up to the end. He passed away a few years later, and she knew exactly how to honor him. You see, Debbie and her husband had they lived for a number of years, aboard a sailboat, and they traveled the world from port to port, harbor to harbor, through the Pacific Ocean. They went down to Australia and Fiji. She'd been into Fiji, like I would love to go. And it really shaped their lives. You know, Debbie wrote a book about it, actually. But what happened after her husband passed away, she was able to use some of the money from the reverse mortgage to rent a tall sail ship in the harbor of San Francisco. And with her friends by her side there, she scattered his ashes in the water that they once called home, because they lived on the water. She told me, she said, "This reverse mortgage saved my life, really. I'm very happy with the reverse mortgage," she said. It was a blessing for her to be able to have that peace of mind, knowing that she could take care of her husband. And it was not an easy process for her. He was moved from nursing home to nursing home, and not by choice. It's just the way things were in the early days of COVID. This was in 2020, and it was the summer of 2020 there, when things were kind of crazy. And he ended up living a couple years in nursing homes in Denver and Colorado Springs, and she had to drive from the mountains down to see him every week. She would do that. And so it was an expensive process for her to do that. And she was able to fix up her house and repair the roof and get new carpet, things of that nature. But then what really sealed the deal was the memorial that she had for him. And spreading his ashes, she said it was just beautiful to be able to do that and honor him in that way. And with all their friends by her side to do stuff like that was just an amazing thing for her. Then also too, I've talked about people doing these great trips or taking care of family and buying new homes, but really the majority of people, they want to retire and live comfortably and without a mortgage payment. That's the way it is with Jim and Sue. Sue contacted me. Her financial advisor told her about a reverse mortgage, and she was on board with it from the start. Jim wasn't. He was skeptical. But then after we met and he learned about it a little bit, he thought that this makes a lot of sense. And he actually got a little excited about it even. He's a pretty even keel kind of guy. But they really just needed relief. They were tired of the financial stress, and they needed flexibility. They had the equity, but they didn't have the flexibility. So in 2022, they took out a reverse mortgage, and it eliminated their monthly mortgage payment and they opened up a line of credit as well that they could use at any time. Sue was able to retire, and they were just able to slow down. Well, I guess kind of a little bit, but then they got busy in volunteering, and they were doing a lot of work in volunteering, and Sue ended up becoming the treasurer of some place, and they were almost going too much. And when I talked to her recently, because I'm staying in better touch with my customers now, I talked to her earlier this year. She said, yeah, we had to back off now. And she was, but it's kind of funny because when I called her, they were at a bingo hall trying to raise money. They do some sponsoring things, and they were raising money for their volunteer outfit. Both her and Jim, and Jim is on oxygen now, which is kind of hard for him to get around, but they're doing really well, and just very happy. Sue still gardens when she can. They have a little garden in their yard, and spend time with family. That's the key thing for them. And they said the process was painless, even though Jim was doubtful about it at first. This is Sue talking. She said, "We're so happy we did it. Just the feeling of knowing that we don't have that extra money going out to a mortgage payment, and we're secure in our own home, is such a calming feeling for me." That's what she said. It's a calming feeling. And that's the whole thing with reverse mortgages. I've always said it's meant to relieve financial stress. It makes so much sense for people. It's why people who are very wealthy do it, and people who are living on Social Security do it, and everybody in between. You're just better off if you're not waiting till the last moment to do this. Use it as part of your financial plan. A lot of financial advisors will tell you now it makes more sense to start it early instead of late. But basically, these are just a few, like I said, of the stories that I've been honored to witness. There's so many more. I've rattled off a couple others just off the top of my head that I didn't give a lot of thought to, but I probably should kind of explain. I got going on this and I didn't explain what a reverse mortgage actually is. A reverse mortgage is a loan program. The FHA insured reverse mortgage is a program, and it was created by an act of Congress in 1987, signed into law by President Reagan in 1988. It's a benefit for senior homeowners who've earned that benefit, I guess you could say, through age and equity accumulation. You do have to have a lot of equity. But you kind of, if you think about it, kind of like the benefits a veteran gets with a VA loan. This is a benefit provided by the federal government for senior homeowners. In the FHA insured program, it's designed for people that are 62 and over. It allows you to convert a portion of the value of your home into cash without giving up ownership or obligating yourself to a monthly mortgage payment. It's not free money, though. Remember that. It is not free money. It's a loan that you never have to repay as long as you live in your home as your primary residence. This is your home. Remember, that's a misconception. People say, oh, the bank, you won't own the home if you do a reverse mortgage. No. That's a misconception. That's a myth. You own your home. That's why you have to pay your own property taxes and your own homeowner's insurance. You have to maintain the home and keep your name on title. All the things you do anyway, just like I said before. You stay in your home, you remain the owner. And the money you receive, whether you can take it in numerous ways as a lump sum, a monthly payment, or a line of credit, or any combination. Most people do some kind of combination, but you can take it a number of different ways. But the money you get, you do not have to pay taxes on it. It's considered loan proceeds. That's why so many people use a line of credit. They don't need the money now, but they set that money aside in a line of credit, and they use it as an emergency fund in so many different ways. If your furnace goes kaput, typically it's on the coldest day of the year, or your air conditioning, typically on the hottest day of the year. Those are that's thousands of dollars. And a lot of people either don't have that in savings, or if they have it, it's invested in something. And when you draw it out, a lot of times you have to pay taxes on it. And you don't want to necessarily do that. Or if it's in a volatile investment like stocks, maybe the stock market is down and you have to draw the money out. Well, now you have to pay taxes on it, but you're also taking a loss compared to what you had, say, last year. So you don't want to necessarily do that. You can use the money from the reverse mortgage line of credit to do that. Or let's say all the money that you qualify for from a reverse mortgage has to go to pay off your existing mortgage. Now you're saving $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month in principal and interest payment. Because remember, you have to pay your own taxes and insurance. But the principal and interest portion of the payment might be $1,000 or $1,500. Now you're able to save that and build up that savings. So over the course of a year, now you've got $10,000, $15,000 that you didn't have before. So you've got the money to pay for that emergency or that car repair or to help out a relative, things like that. I've, believe it or not, I've done loans for people to help pay for an attorney for their kid. They had to post bail and for their son, and then they had to pay for an attorney. And, they swore he was innocent. I don't remember the situation. They lived somewhere in Cherry Creek in a real nice townhome there. But it was, their son was innocent. They knew it. I don't remember what he was accused of, but they were able to help him pay for this attorney and hopefully keep him out of jail. I don't know if that's what happened. Another customer in Golden back in 2008 did a reverse mortgage, and he was handy he was very a contractor, and he bought condos super cheap, fixed them up, and sold them or rented out. I think he rented a couple too, but then he would take the money and pay the reverse mortgage down so he could reuse it to buy another one and keep the money for profit. Okay. So there's all these things that you could do about reverse mortgages. The thing is, your family also won't be left with a debt. This is a non-recourse loan, which means your heirs are protected. The bank can never come after you, your estate, or your heirs if you ever end up owing more money on the house than it's worth. Okay, so let me ask you, what is your dream? Is it a quiet porch in the right-sized home? A reunion across the ocean? Or maybe it's just peace of mind in these uncertain times. We know we're in uncertain times right now. You don't need to win the lottery to make that happen. You just need to look at your home, not as a burden, but as a solution. And that's what it was always meant to be. I would be honored, personally, Bruce Simmons here with Reverse Mortgage, with American Liberty Mortgage. I'd be honored to help you explore what's possible. No pressure, no sales pitch. If you look at the videos online, they all say, I just gave them the information. I didn't try to sell them anything. But I would be honored to help you explore what's possible. Okay? And maybe we could just have a conversation about what your goals are. So you need to give me a call if you have any interest in reverse mortgages at all. My number is 303-467-7821. 303-467-7821, or visit me online at reversemortgageradio.net. reversemortgageradio.net. And let's just talk about your story. Until next time, this is Bruce Simmons, and you've been listening to Reverse Mortgage Radio. I appreciate you listening, and I look forward to hopefully having that conversation with you, that maybe we can help you out.
Call Bruce Simmons today. Ask about his free Colorado Consumer Guide, 303-467-7821, or reversemortgageradio.net. Bruce will come to you anywhere across the Front Range to make sure you understand how reverse mortgages work. Regulated by DORA, NMLS number 409914. American Liberty Mortgage is an equal housing lender.